well. Many thanks to you, Mr. Pulara and Sumant Raman. Now, today also marks the first phase of assembly elections in Jammu and Kashmir, the first since Article 370 was revoked in August of 2019. Over 23 lakh voters decide the fate of 219 candidates across 24 constituencies in 7 districts. Jammu and Kashmir has recorded a historic voter turnout of 58% till 5 p.m. Voting in Jammu and Kashmir has largely remained peaceful, with no untoward incidents reported in any of the 24 assembly constituencies. This thus countering opposition's narrative, who claimed that Jammu and Kashmir is unsafe. On that note, let's also chalk out the voter turnout in the 7 districts. In Anantnag, it stands at 54.17%, at Doda 69.33%, Kishtwar 77.23%, Kulgam 59.26%, Pulwama 43.87%, Ramban 67.71%, and in Shopia 53.64%. And so, on opposition's charge of no normalcy, has that narrative been rebuffed today? That's a question we'll be posing to our guests today. Sanjay Rana, who's a political analyst, continues to stay with us. I'm also joined in by Mr. Ahmed Ayaz, who's political analyst. He'll be joining us in just a bit. Aarti Tikoo is a very senior journalist. Thank you, Aarti Tikoo Singh, for joining in. Aarti, if I could begin with you, how is this a historic election, perhaps also an election of many firsts?
Well, I certainly think that this is a victory of Indian democracy, because today we are seeing massive numbers of Kashmiri Muslims who went through a very tumultuous period of violence in the last 35 years. We also saw that Jammu and Kashmir remained conflict-ridden for almost 70 years until 2019, when the historic decision of Article 370's abrogation happened under Prime Minister Modi's leadership. Today, it's historic because it's the first time when various players which had remained away from elections, from the electoral democracy of India, from something that we always cherish. It's a system, it's a value, it is the framework in which India has functioned since 1947, ever since we became independent and we became a republic in 1950. Ever since that time, we have cherished the value of democracy. And for last 37 years, in fact, since 1987 elections, when there were allegations of rigging by National Conference and the Congress Party in Jammu and Kashmir, following which we have seen massive conflict and massive violence in Jammu and Kashmir. A lot has happened in the last 37 years. But for the first time, all those entities, all those people who were alienated in the 1987 elections and the subsequent years, they have come into the fray. And by that I mean some of the constituents of the Hurriyat Conference, especially Jamaat-e-Islami, which is a socio-religious, you can say a fundamentalist organization with certain fundamentals about how they view J&K, how they view the issue of Kashmir. But for them to come to the mainstream openly, without any proxies, without any charade of being, the backers of the PDP, for example, they have come out in the open. They are contesting elections, and contesting elections by taking oath on the Indian Constitution, by taking oath in the name of Indian law, is itself a major accomplishment. I think the credit certainly goes to Prime Minister Modi's leadership. The credit goes to this particular government's initiatives taken in the last 5 years.
I think that's a very valid point that you've made. I'd like to bring in Ahmed Ayaz, who's also a political analyst, just joining in. Ahmed Ayaz, how do you in fact respond to the point that Aarti has made in terms of political liberty for all those independents who are now contesting something that wasn't seen, of course, in the immediate last decade, but something that also perhaps was marred by militancy?
That's true. The increase in voters' participation this time. It's not that only in assembly elections today, and we have seen in the recent parliamentary election also in Jammu and Kashmir. And the reasons could be different. As my, another panelist was saying that one reason about this Jamaat Islami, she was talking about. No, Jamaat Islami is not contesting for the first time. Had there been no ban, perhaps they could have done it as a Jamaat Islami. They have been contesting even before 1990 also. They had many members in the assembly. That time they were also contesting as Jamaat Islami. Today they are contesting as independents just because there's a ban. But it is not something new that they are contesting. Well, they are contesting after 1990. Uh, Again, there are many reasons. One reason being that this election is being, you will see number of participation and a lot of people coming in, independents, and not only independents but local. Besides local political parties, there are political parties from outside Jammu and Kashmir also participating in Jammu and Kashmir. The reason being one that there is that this election has been held after a gap of 10 years. One second, during this period, there had been an abrogation of the process in which abrogation of Article 370 was done. And third being that lot of voters have come in during these last 10 years. And people are also fed up with the local politics. And to me, they are almost blaming the local politics only for whatever difficulties now we are facing as Kashmiris or the people in Jammu Kashmir. So that's why people would like to see a change,
Sanjay
see an
Rana,
alternate to the.
yes,
Uh,
yes, which is what perhaps the BJP is also hoping to bank on. Do you think, Sanjay Rana, the BJP can dent those political prospects, electoral prospects of the Valley parties, given that the immediate concerns for people of Jammu and Kashmir remain unemployment, drugs, the drug menace, and of course even terrorism?
I would like to congratulate, first of all, the people of Jammu Kashmir those coming out and participating in this and casting their vote. Number one. Number two is a slap on the people those who are raising a question on the government and saying democracy खतरे में है. So there's no democracy in खतरे में. Everything is going fine, and I've never seen such kind of queues. People are coming out and casting their vote. I've not seen it. This election is happening after 10 years, and people are very much excited. They don't know the rights. Earlier, look at the kind of party we had. I would say Jammu Kashmir had only PDP. One family party, another one National Congress, third was the Congress. But here, all the independents are there. Other parties are also participating, and obviously these two state parties also participating. And people are very much excited to cast their vote. So we need to understand what all changes happen after abrogation of 370. These are the changes. People are coming out. People are believing in democracy. People are believing in their right. They know what their right and what they are happy to there because they're getting their rights. I'm not saying how much seat BJP is going to get it, because I have a serious doubt BJP will open a single they will get a single seat in Valley. But look at the
All
Jammu
right,
where they
that's a
have.
very interesting point that you've made. I'm sorry I'm interrupting you there. I'd like to quickly bring in Aarti. Aarti, do you think that the abrogation of Article 370 will work in BJP's favor, or the opposition will in fact be milking more out of this, considering there are many who say that people are still very unhappy because the issue of statehood is still being evaded?
Look, I've been on the ground in Kashmir for a
Yes.
very, very long time. I have covered Kashmir for 24 years. And I can tell you with a lot of confidence that this view that Kashmiri Muslims, the electorate, does not understand the significance of abrogation of Article 370, or this rhetoric that Kashmiri Muslims think that Article 370 can come back, as many of the political parties, the dynastic parties like National Conference and
Yes.
PDP are promising. It is a lie. People do understand and people do realize, and people have accepted that Article 370 is not coming back. In fact, a lot of the anger that I have seen on the streets, I have seen people talking about is actually against the National Conference and the PDP, who for a very long time kept their own electorate under this illusion that Article 370 was something that nobody on earth could abrogate, and used to blackmail this particular thing. Used to these dynastic parties would use it to blackmail New Delhi. And people today realize and recognize that these two families, Abdullahs and the Muftis, have hoodwinked their own people, they have hoodwinked their own electorate. They also hold them responsible for a lot of bloodshed that has happened in Kashmir in the last 35 years. And therefore, I believe that the BJP is not going to, a lot of people think that BJP is going to perform badly, but I think the BJP will have considerable number of seats in Jammu, and they will have, even though not directly, but lot of people out of their own sympathy and their own understanding would have voted for the BJP if the BJP
All right.
would have contested elections in Kashmir.
But, Ahmed Ayaz, I'd like to bring you in on the larger picture. The political narrative that is right now coming out is also talking about the multiplicity of parties versus the independents who are contesting. They're saying that there's a lot of intrigue. And is this surrounding the independents? Because the Valley parties have been alleging that this is not by default, but by design. How do you respond?
No, you see, to say that independence will be doing miracles, that also is not there. It gives, it will contribute. It will not contribute in, challenging the parties so far as votes are concerned. Maybe a few, because they are not that strong in their pockets, these individuals, that they can, throw any major challenge to these people. However, this is they are definitely going to contribute, as the another panelist was saying, that there is a growing resentment against the political parties so far as local political parties are concerned, and definitely this is going to a lesson or a message, going to give a message to them, because what has now they be seeing, what they may be seeing now in the election must not have been seen by them in the past. It was an easy truth for them. Today, it may not be easy truth, because there are challenges to them, even in getting elected also, even seeing themselves through, though being very old political party. I think to that extent, these independents will contribute, that political parties will realize, local political parties, that it is not easy. People are against them. They have a resentment, and maybe they need to change themselves in the future. To that extent, it is going to give them a message. But
You
to
know
say
why?
that
You know why
independence
I
will
mentioned that point, because we've heard an Omar Abdullah in the last few days go on to talk about how this almost seemed like a conspiracy when he was being pitted against independents who were fighting, and that it was a BJP ploy. He's gone on record to, in fact, say that. But let me quickly, well, that's the point we've made about the independents fighting this election. But Aarti, you, for all the experience you've gained on ground level in Kashmir, I want to bring you in on the point of the Kashmiri Pandits. There's been a lot of angst within this community in terms of the spike in militancy and the kind of targeted killings we've seen in the past. Is that going to have any kind of impact on BJP's own prospects?
Well, the fact is that Kashmiri Pandits are a scattered constituency. Even now, they are, still homeless in many ways, and a lot of people still live in Jagti township in Jammu region. We know that Prime Minister did recently make an announcement for return and rehabilitation of Kashmiri Pandits. That is a question, that looms large over BJP's policy on Kashmir. They haven't come up with any blueprint, any roadmap for the return and rehabilitation of Kashmiri Pandits. There is a certain resentment, certain angst, certain also alienation with the BJP on that front. But when it comes to electoral politics, when it comes to elections, we have repeatedly seen that Kashmiri Pandits have reposed their faith in Prime Minister Modi's leadership. We have constantly seen that despite the fact that there is this gulf, there is a certain issue which remains. In fact, this is the only issue which remains unresolved as far as political resolution of Kashmir is concerned. The only question that remains unanswered is the return and rehabilitation of Kashmiri Pandits, and I think that would be the last straw to come to a conclusion that Kashmir is finally normal when Kashmiri Pandits are able to return and rehabilitate and get and we see coexistence among Kashmiri Muslims and Kashmiri Hindus. There is a certain gulf of mistrust and a lack of reconciliation. But I think the fact that Prime Minister just before the assembly elections in Jammu and Kashmir has made a statement, it indicates that there is a plan. There is a plan for their rehabilitation. And I think this announcement certainly was catering or addressing to the concerns of the Kashmiri Pandit community. I think therefore, I think, there is a possibility that Kashmiri Pandits most likely would vote for the BJP even in these elections.
Ahmed Ayaz, I'd like to close in with your thoughts. What is the vote when we talk about Naya Kashmir? What is the vote based on now, today, that we see? Because remember, the kind of voter turnout we've seen in what used to be hotbeds of militancy, you're seeing this kind of voter turnout, which the visuals are speaking for themselves. What is this vote for when you talk about this vote coming in from Naya Kashmir?
So far as J&K is concerned, there are two provinces. One is Kashmir and another is Jammu. Well, difference thinking could be different, but majorly, so far as Kashmir is concerned, Kashmir, after abrogation of Article 370, they have undergone tremendous, difficulties, and one that they feel rather hard pressed. Second, the grievances redressal even for normal issues have been very difficult, and that could be one reason to see that the vote is made. And then the grievances actually within the Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir, where the people are directly affected. That's one. Second, as long as the rights under 35 is concerned, job rights and then the land rights, this would be based on that. I mean, these are certain factors, and the accessibility we have seen in the past regime or the existing regime, we have current regime, we have seen the accessibility on the administration has been very poor, and I think that being a reason, people feel possibly that it is important to have vote done to see that the representatives are elected for easy accessibility.
All
I
right.
mean, rest, so far as
All right, there's a question I want to, in fact, ask Aarti about Tral, which has, in fact, seen the lowest voter turnout of 40.58%. What, in your view, are these strong driving factors, and what explains the lowest voter turnout in Tral particularly?
Well, Tral was at the epicenter of the new militancy or new terrorism that we saw in the last decade in Kashmir. Also remember that, Burhan Wani, the entire new generation militancy was surrounding this particular area. But also remember that this is also South Kashmir. This is also Jamaat-e-Islami hub in many ways, and this is also like there are a lot of youth who still cannot wrap their head around what really happened. Millennials who were born post 2000, who have seen nothing except violence, who have seen nothing except pellet injuries. We have seen so much violence in the last 20 years. For them to even process what has changed and what has shifted in Kashmir, I think it is going to take time. This was actually not the ideal time to hold elections. I think the youth, the people of Kashmir needed much more time to heal their wounds, to process.
All right, I'm afraid we'll have to leave it at that, and I'm sure in